from The Independent. New Taliban penal code puts husbands on par with slave masters and legalizes domestic violence. A Kabul-based legal advisor says it's now impossible for women to get any justice in the Taliban-run courts.
But that's because the Taliban-run courts are based on the Quran and the Islamic teachings. And the Quran says quite clearly, if your wife disobeys you, sit down and talk to her. If that doesn't work, you give her no sex in the bedroom. If that doesn't work, you beat her.
So,
right.
So real quick, what you're saying is we have a choice between feminism and Islam.
But the feminists are on the Islam side. What's going on?
And what's
going on?
It's worth noting that the left will lose to
they did in
Muslims. You know,
they did in Iran, but they don't care. They want to bring down the system.
Maybe the offensive thought is women are tired of these, and I mean this in the political sense, not tribal. Women are tired of these weak, effeminate, liberal guys. And so a Muslim guy comes in and he's like Myron Gaines and he's like, shut up, I don't care. Do what you're told. And the women are just like, okay.
I think there's something a little different to it than that. I think that the feminist left in the West never believes that they're going to be impacted by anything negative that's going to happen. Look at Renee Good. She thought she was protected from police violence by her whiteness. She didn't think that anything bad could happen to her. And so I think when you think about leftist Western feminists, they think, okay, we're going to open up everything to all of these Muslims because we're compassionate. And it doesn't occur to them that anything bad is going to happen to them because of it. And they also like to say, you know, that having a woman in burqas and hijabs and niqabs and the rest of it, they say that's their cultural thing. Let them be part of their cultural thing. Well, but they don't actually think that anything is going to happen to themselves.
The only real feminists in our generation are the Persian women in Iran. They're the only real women.
Like Kelly J. Keane.
The only people Kelly. But what I mean is the only people in our generation who have stood up for women's rights are the ones taking off their hijab and getting killed.
Well, and they're the ones who are saying, hey, Western women, where are you? Why aren't you helping us?
The funny thing is, if we want to be true to the sense of feminism in that protecting women's rights, it's conservative women in the United States. It's these Iranian women protesting. And the quote-unquote feminists, as we describe them, hate women.
That's correct. They hate women. They hate women.
And you see
they're wearing feminism like
thing.
Have you seen the what they call them? Islam? What they call them? Nemesis. Have you seen the group in? You know this lad who just got murdered in France?
Quentin.
Quentin who just got murdered in France. So he was protecting a women's group in France. There's a new women's group. It's an amazing group. Look them up.
What's it called? Nemesis?
Nemesis Collective. Look them up. They're on X. There's now 600 of them. So they're women. There they are. They are amazing, yeah?
Wow.
They're on the street.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry, real quick. Wikipedia says their ideology is anti-immigration, anti-Islam, xenophobia.
Yep.
So the funny thing is,
these are real feminists. These are real women's rights.
I know, but xenophobia isn't a political ideology. They put that in there just to insult them because that's what Wikipedia is.
Yep. And being concerned with mass immigration or theocratic regimes or extremism religions is not xenophobia. Xenophobia is a blanket fear of external unknown people. It's very different.
Wait.
Because you oppose mass.
Well, say, for example, these ladies.
Femo-nationalism?
Yeah, that's what they call them, feminationalists.
Feminationalists.
They call them feminationalists.
All right, let's go.
I just walked through Paris. Did you see? I had a video last week where I walked through Paris with these girls, yeah?
Wow.
With Alice. And as I walked through Paris, Muslim migrants were following us, saying they're going to fuck her, yeah?
Wow.
Threatening her. And this video, it's probably got 800,000 views last week. And as we're walking through, I'm arguing with these migrant men. And then the leader in charge of the government for Paris mocked us in a quote.
Yep.
There was a big backlash against them, but absolutely mocked us. Now, 77% of the rapes in Paris, in that city where those women are, the Eiffel Tower now is a rape spot. It's not. You, America, if you're listening and you think of Paris and you think of the city of love, it's not there. There is no city of love anymore. There's a hellhole. Governed and controlled by migrants of violence. It's the same with Berlin. You can fly into Berlin, you won't know where you are. You fly into Paris, you won't know where you are. You fly into London, 33% English. You probably won't meet an English person unless you get in a black cab, and they're trying to get rid of them as well. All of these cities are falling.
Tell me, I remember that viral video of the young girl, I think in Britain, and she pulled out the knives or whatever.
Yeah. That was Scotland, yeah.
Scotland.
Hatchet and a knife.
And this, explain the story and what happened. It was massive.
Yeah, she was being threatened by migrants. But this is nothing new. The victim is the victim again by the authorities and the system.
Yep.
Because they're too scared. So, you spoke earlier. I think just so people can really get the scale of what's been happening in Britain. We had a rape scandal which was what we started talking about in 2009. It's why they shut us down. And to understand why they wanted to shut us down so bad, if you Google my name, you'll read so many articles, smears, slandering comments by politicians, by media. They despise me, yeah? The reason why is because they've all got dirty hands. They allowed the rape and prostitution. I done a 5-part series called The Rape of Britain. They're all documentaries where I went to one city, and I went to Telford, and I spent 18 months there, and I got to speak to the survivors, the victims and the survivors who were raped by these gangs. Now, we got, say, 18 girls. I'd interview them for 3 hours, 4 hours, 3 or 4 times. And I built a database of the rapists. Now, the reason why I chose Telford is because Telford only has a 1.7% Muslim population. Now, the police investigation in Telford found 1,000 victims. 5 are dead. 5 are dead in this little town, yeah? 1,000 victims. So when you take the Muslim population, the police identified 200 rapists in this town. They've only prosecuted 11. So when you see the rape gangs getting prosecuted, they're prosecuting, it's like a little gesture. Out of the 200, they prosecuted 11. So the police investigation finds 200. Our investigation found 264. An independent inquiry, found over 300. There's only 1,000 Muslim men. 20% of them, by the police's numbers, have been raping the kids. 20% of them in this small town of Telford. You've probably heard of Rotherham. Rotherham has a 3.7% Muslim population. Yeah, there's none there. 1,400 children raped. Wow. Now, what I did is look through all these cities, and that's when we went through the numbers, which is you take the convictions, you take the men convicted, because they make it very hard, and we found out how many names are from an Islamic background. You're upwards of 84% of the convictions, up to 90% on Muslim men from such a small community. And the question we need to ask, because if we care about anything, it should be our daughters. You talk about rape being a weapon of war. It's always been a weapon of war. When Boko Haram took 200 Nigerian girls, they told us quite clearly why they'd done it, because Mohammed has commanded us to do it. They're telling you why they've done it. Look what they've done to the Yazidis. Look what ISIS done. What are all these terrorists? Look what the Taliban are doing.
And Tommy, this literally goes back to the founding of, like, right after the United States got founded, the Barbary Pirates. Their emissary told Thomas Jefferson that the reason they were taking our ships and putting our men into slavery was because the Quran told them that they could.
Yep. There's 4 verses in the Quran. One of the verses actually says you're blameless. You can take whatever your right arm possesses, the arm of the sword, outside of your 4 wives, and you can take them as war booty. That's it.
And what did Thomas Jefferson respond with?
Created the United States Marine and slaughtered them.
He said, if you do this, I will raise an army and I will destroy you.
Yeah.
And then he did.
He did.
Well, our leaders now are not raising an army to destroy you. They're raising an army to destroy the people who talk about it.
Well, and that's sort of what's going on. And if you look into Islam, I remember I had a writer a few years ago, Maddie Martin, and she wrote about this. And she told me something that I found really surprising, which is that there are several stages of jihad. And one of the first stages of jihad is that you go into a place where you are a minority. And when you're a minority, a Muslim population, you behave in a certain way. You take on a victimhood presentation so that people feel sorry for you, and you work with the people around you who are non-Muslim as a way to gain their trust, and then slowly you take over until you're in charge of the entire society, and then you're able to eradicate the people who you claimed to be friends with. You're allowed to pretend to be friends, for example, with Christians, but you're never allowed to actually be friends with Christians.
You know why they do that? Because that's exactly what Muhammad did. In Muhammad's first 10 years of teaching, which is why if we get onto the scripture of Islam, in Muhammad's first 10 years of teaching, he had 300 followers. He was a peaceful man. So all the peaceful verses in the Quran come from the first 10 years. Then he found a winning formula. His winning formula was jihad, war, rape, slavery, piracy. And this is their scripture, not me saying it. And this is where so many Americans will just think, well, Islam's like Christianity, Muhammad's like Jesus. No, Jesus said turn the other cheek. Muhammad said cut their heads off. Muhammad beheaded 600 people in one day. That's what he did. That's their scripture. He stopped Kinana. He tortured a man called Kinana, burnt his chest, took his gold. The evening he beheaded all the men in the tribe. The evening he beheaded them, he took his wife Sophia as his wife that night. He raped her that night. This is the man that they believe is the moral compass for the world. This is why we have so much war, so much jihad. And the problem with them, which people need to realise, is when your borders are open. Say, for example, a Pew Research shows 99% of Afghanis want Sharia law. When they get to the American border and they cross in, or when Joe Biden flies them in, when they come in, they don't leave that policy at the border. They bring it with them. So it's like if you think of communism, say Sweden was an entirely communist nation, and everyone in Sweden supported communism. Well, if you bring 4 million Swedes into the United States of America, there's going to be a drive for communism. This is why you have a drive for Sharia. It's why now you've got so many calls for Sharia. we have 23% of British Muslims, which is a low number considering how they think in the Middle East. But 23% of British Muslims want Sharia law. 23%. Now, 23% of British Muslims is 1 million Muslims. That's 1 million Muslims in our country, which overthrow democracy and replace it with an authoritarian supremacist ideology which subjugates non-Muslims, keeps us as slaves. We become dhimmis in our own nation. Now, all these numbers need to be looked at. I looked at the United States. You've got 26% of Muslims in the United States, from 18 to the age of 29. 45% of French Muslims believe suicide bombing is justified. 35% of British Muslims believe bombing is justified. These numbers are insane. You're talking 1.5 million British Muslims in our country believe suicide bombing is 26% of Muslims in America. Wake up. Now, those numbers, when you think of 26% of Muslims, it's all right when the numbers are small. Well, I say it's all right. We've got 40,000 Muslims on a terror watch list. 40,000 British Muslims on a terror watch list. 3,000 of them are monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at a cost of £9 billion. Yeah, the last 5 terrorist attacks in the UK weren't from those in the top 3,000. So when this becomes such a problem, because Manchester, for example, after the Ariana Grande concert attacks where 26 children were blown up by Salman Abedi, you know, if we had a Trump-style ban, you know, he banned certain countries, red flag countries. If we had that, then those children would still be alive. Yeah, 220 who were murdered in France and Germany would still be alive for that simple ban. Now, no matter how much opposition or names Donald Trump gets called, that ban keeps you safe. Yeah, from bringing terrorists into your nation. It's not a game of, if you had a pack of Skittles there or a pack of sweets and you said, pick those sweets, one of them's going to kill you. You wouldn't pick a sweet. No. Now, with mass immigration from these Islamic nations, literally, some of them are going to kill you. Yeah. They're going to rape your women in mass numbers. We're literally being raped and pillaged across the whole of Europe.
I mean, it's not a stretch to think that out of the 20 million illegal immigrants that were let in during the Biden administration, there was 100,000 people brought in that hate America and want to do bad things.
More.
More. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.